Alright, now we're going to slow down and do a little bit of the basics for this tutorial. As you can see, I have 3 routers up and running. Basically, you just put your image and associate it with a router, drag, drop it over. You're going to want to start them up one by one, and then idle PC them and watch your processor CPU usage. And idle PCing them will usually knock it down to where it's a manageable level. Sometimes when you start these up, they'll work fine. You don't have to idle PC them. Sometimes it'll shoot through the roof. If you really run into trouble, look up best CPU limiter, which will limit these processes if they get out of hand for you. Sometimes idle PCing them won't get them down all the way. Alright, next up, essentially, I just connected them using fast Ethernet. And now I've consoled into all of them. And they should be all set right here. Let's start with R0. Basically, it'll ask you if you want to enter initial configuration dialog, which I have always said no to. Then you'll come up to this initial prompt, which you really can't do much from. So you're going to type enable or en, and that'll bring up the enable box. From here you can run a lot more commands. You can show run, which is technically show running configuration, and that'll build the configuration and show you on the spot. Now, let's take a look at a few of these things. That's just the size, so is the iOS version. I think that's pretty new, actually. I'm surprised. The host name is just the name of the router. AAA model is authentication, authorization, and one other A. Basically, it's for remote access a lot of times, or at least for authenticating remote access. No IP IPS is just for security. Then you get down to your interfaces. This has, let's see, 2 fast Ethernet interfaces. As you can see, no IP address means there's no IP address assigned. It's shut down, which means it's not running up and running. Even though we have it connected in GNS3, you have to enable the ports for that to actually do anything. And FA00, or 01 and 00. The duplex is just the speed. Full duplex, half duplex, all that. HTTP server, a lot of times that's used to connecting via a web browser for running commands. It's also used for Cisco SDM connections. And then line console, line auxiliary, and line virtual. Those we'll cover in another tutorial. And as you can see, my processor is maxing out. So a lot of times what we have to do is one by one idle PC them again. Alright, I ended up having to use best to limit the CPU usage. As you can see here, it limits targets, and what you're looking for is dynamips, because that's what the Cisco routers use. It's a process that it's using. Now, as I was showing you, anyway, you can see the running config by doing a show run from the enable prompt. You do show run. However, let's say you want to see the running config is just what is running currently on the router. Let's say you want to see, and that would not include changes that you've made since you started up. So if you want to see what the startup config is, you do show start. Now, we don't have a startup config because this is the first time we've booted the router. Excuse me. So what we're going to do is a nice little command called either write mem, which will take the startup config and run it to, or the running config and write it to the startup config. The other command that we can use to accomplish the same thing is copy space copy run start, and that would do the exact same thing. It's basically saying copy running config to startup config. Now, anything for configuring is usually done at the configuration prompt, which is configure terminal, and then or conft, and essentially, where it says left branch, that's was done from this. You just do host name left branch, and that would change the host name of that. You notice we saw in the startup or running config that the fast Ethernet interfaces were not up and running, so we can interface those from here. You do interface, and then you can fast 0/0, and that'll bring up the config interface. You can also do that by doing int fa 0/0, a lot quicker, a lot easier. Now you're saying, well, how do we know what's connected to what if we're in GNS3? Well, essentially you can just hover over, and it'll say at the bottom, FA00 is connected to router 2. So FA00, router 2. So let's say we wanted to make that 192.168.0.0/24, just to make it easy. Yeah, that should be fine. And so we would say name this .1, and this one would be .2. Zoom in a little so you can see that. That's essentially just using the little add a note, and you can add a note for that. So that just helps us know what's going on. A lot of times what you'll do is a /30 for something like this, which would make it a lot easier because you'd only have the 2 to assign. But if you're doing a /24, a lot of times I would do the first IP, available IP, last available IP. Just makes it a lot easier. Alright, so as I was saying, /30. We'll do /24 and just do .1.2. So we'll go back to router 3, R3, and let me double check here. FA00 is router 2. So we're going to do 0.1 for this. So to give that an IP address, we do IP add 192. Oh, well, that's the short way. IP ADD RESS IP address 192.168.0.1. And then right after that, do a space, and then do the subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0, because it's a /24. And it should take that right there, but you're not quite done yet. You have to do a no shutdown or a no shut. That will put it up and running. And for that, what we can do to check it is do a show run again and wait for it to build the configuration. And it should show that that interface, FA00, is up and running. And use enter to go down one line, spacebar to go down a lot of lines, and there we go. And we had a log dump a bunch of crap in there right in the middle of it, but interface FA00, IP address 120.1.2.5, default auto. It's there, it's just overwritten by the stupid log. Give me a second. Let's do that one more time. Wait for it to build the configuration, and there we go. Interface FA00, IP address 192.168.0.1/24, and the shutdown there is not there. So, alright, now that's just how you assign an IP address for that. Now let's say